Hey again, and welcome back to another video. After I made like a Paladins tier list for champions last time, or like recently, I thought it might also be fun doing a tier list about maps. But I think the good thing about maps is that people are like more okay to disagree. Because like when people feel like you think their favorite champion isn't as good, they like go off on you and like I mean, I'm not saying that like any people like doing that, but just in general, I think there are more people disagreeing on champions and like trying to explain why or just prove why they think it's a good or bad champion. And from my experience on maps, it's more like, well, I like this map, you don't like this map, okay, so be it. So I kind of want to use this video to like explain why I like certain maps and like am like super interested in seeing what map types or like maps in general other people like. So please let me know how you would rank certain maps. And this is not like a tier list of that's a good map or that's a bad map to play, or I don't really know how to explain it. This is more meant to be a tier list of how much I personally like playing this map. And I probably should say like I'm a tank main and I'm a support main, so this is heavily influencing how I see those maps, and I try to explain what I like about those maps and what I don't like about those maps, and maybe making it a little bit easier to understand why I put like one map in A, I put the other one in S, and then I think like another map should be removed. But as I said, like feel free to let me know if you disagree and like where you put certain other maps. Okay, starting off with Stonekeep. I think Stonekeep is a pretty good, pretty decent map. I can't lie. Um, I'm a little bit I don't know. This is just in general for the reworked maps. I'm not a big fan on some reworked maps. I think they were easier to read on the other, like on the older versions. I think they added a lot of visual stuff, which is sometimes making it harder to read the map as like, I don't know. It's hard to explain not where you want to go, but like sometimes it's just looking like, well, that's supposed to be a beautiful map, but this is a little bit too distracting to read what's going on. Um, and that's like true for every map, but like only talking about the map itself, not how it's looking visually, obviously. I really like on Stonekeep that they changed like the spawns. You have like the stairs now and whatnot, and in general, I think Stonekeep is a pretty good map. It's like the point fight is kind of nice, whereas you have high grounds and you have like also an area around the point, which is not high ground per se. So it's not feeling like you're stuck in the open as a tank and just taking damage from all angles. There are certainly angles where you just take damage, but that's okay. You have the high ground on like in the room with the stairs where both teams can meet before they actually go to point. This is kind of nice. I feel like this is always the spot where like the fight starts off, like where the generals usually ults, right? You know what I mean? I really like this fight. I also like that you can play so many different champions on this map. It's really good for supports also being able to somewhat play behind cover and still keep the pointing healed or like the off angles. This is always important as a support player. I feel like you want to have maps where you feel like you can be safe. It's possible to flank you as a support, but the enemy team needs to go like all the way around to actually reach you when you're playing high ground. So that's definitely good because like on I don't want to say left or right side because it always depends where you start on which side. So that's kind of confusing. Where the high ground is usually, it's hard to actually flank because someone is contesting that high ground, right? And ideally, you have like another player of your team with you, so it's impossible to flank you there. And if they want to go like all the way around, they kind of have to like go past your spawn, if you know what I mean, and then reach you. So it's not like super easy to flank you on the point fight. I really like the push. I also like want to talk about the push and the end of the map. I really like this part of the map, or like those parts of the map. I think you have good high ground potential where you want to contest or what you want to contest as an off tank and flank. You also have like the point area where the card goes, where you can play somewhat behind cover. You're not stuck super crazy in the open. There are definitely parts where you're just in the open, but I mean you're pushing the card, so that's kind of, yeah, you can't avoid that fully, but there are definitely ways to play around cover. Also, talking about playing around cover on point fight, it's possible for the point tank to just leave the point and then get behind cover to get healed by the support, which makes it super easy, or it's super helpful for the support to actually make sure you can like sustain them if your tank like actually tries to cleanse, cauterize, and get behind cover for a second. And the end of the map, as I said, the changes are pretty good. I like them. It's a little bit confusing for me having both maps enabled at the same time, because you can't really get used to one map. You have to like still like learn how to play the other one, or like it's always confusing. Do I have like the stairs up here, or do I have to go on the boxes? I don't like this, that they just keep both maps, but I kind of get it because they play so differently, and they just want to make sure that both like fans of each map can like still play the version of the map, I guess. Bro, I'm talking so much. I really try to not make it as long as the other tier list, but like whatever. Don't keep A. I just keep it here. Yeah, bro, that's my first remove map. What can I say? Timbermill sucks as a map. Timbermill is really bad. It's super frustrating as a point tank because you're just sitting in the open. You have so many high grounds around you, just being there, taking damage from all angles. As a support player, considering this is more a sniper heavy map, you can really stay in the open, which like of course you don't always like you never want to stay in the open like that, but like you can't really heal freely because you always have to fear getting just sniped by the enemy, and it's just so much pressure on you, making sure your tank doesn't die, your flanks don't die, your DPS don't die, and you yourself not taking too much damage to be that much on that easy of a target. So I really hated playing tank and flank on the playing tank and support on this map. I think the only champions having fun are flanks and DPS. So I guess if they're like any flank or DPS mains, they probably like this map a little bit more than I do. But like I really hate it. I think the changes they did a couple of years ago definitely helped this map, but it's still bad. Like the major issues the map has still exist. So that's why I think this is a remove for me. The point fight, as I said, you're stuck in the open. The push part also kind of bad. It's like they added a little bit of cover, but it's not good enough. The high grounds is like are too oppressive still, and the end of the map is still, bro, there you can't really stay anywhere as a support. You're just somewhat stuck in the open. There's this little like wheel where you kind of can hide behind, but it's still super annoying. I hate maps where snipers are super oppressive. Especially here, it's like somewhat hard to actually flank them. That's also something I want to like consider. Like, what comms can you play? Is it like different? Like, you always want like maps opening up different comms, but like I'm not the biggest fan of poke comms, so this is also like one thing why I don't like poke maps, or like some of the poke maps. I just can't say a lot of positive about this map. The zoning potential is good, like you can zone the enemy team, making sure they can't touch point again. But on the other side, it's like also super frustrating. But that's like always the back and forth you have with zoning, depending if you like defend or attack. But overall, I'm okay putting this at the remove tier because it's just a bad map. I gotta be honest, sometimes I just dodge this map when I get it and I don't feel like playing it. So yeah. Waterskate. I think Waterskate is also a pretty decent map. I'm gonna be honest. I like the point fight. You have cover to hide on the point. Like you can go to left or right, like hide behind the walls. You can also go underneath to hide. It's somewhat safe for the support to play there and just trying to heal you. It's possible to flank, like you have good flank routes, I want to say. If there are like heavy backline DPS, you are able to actually flank them because you're not walking that much in the open that you can reach them and they just outpoke you before that. So you have enough cover and space to actually flank on this map, which is great. Also, this map opens up a lot of columns you usually wouldn't play. I'm just thinking about Ruckus. This is such a good map for Ruckus. And I always like when you have different comms on different maps and like not always forced to play the same thing. So I'm a big fan of like maps just offering the opportunity to play something else and making certain picks more viable, because like Ruckus, I mean, I don't want to say you can't play him on any map, but like you definitely struggle on some maps with him. Jagger Falls, my beloved, bro. I really like this map. This is my favorite map. I think it's just design-wise, it's great. You have different routes where you can go. You have different team fights, if that makes sense. Your team usually splits up into 2 to 3 groups. you have the group playing around point, and then you have to have the group playing around sun or moon. It's just, I don't know, I really like it. You have enough cover to hide behind as a point tank, cleansing cauterize for a second. The support can also hide. You have the opportunity to play certain comms, like Jorgos is viable here, but you can also play other blasters. You can play hit scan. You somewhat can play backline DPS, but not as much. Like, I wouldn't play Kinessa here, but for some reason, some people play Kinessa here and it actually works. So I don't know. It's just opening up so many opportunities, I want to say. I like this spawn area, like where you actually finish the push, because the defending team somewhat has a high ground. So like you are a little bit more favored to defend, which is always good. But you also have enough flank routes and cover, like the little rooms where you can push through to actually get to the enemy team or the enemy backline to actually kill them and like enable your team, if that makes sense. Overall, it's like a more brawly like map, and I'm a big fan of like brawl. I think it's just super fun to like consistently be involved in fights and just trying to go back and forth with the enemy team. So that's why I like really like brawl maps. Yeah, as I said, bro, this is just, I really like this map. It opens up so many different ways of playing this, but usually want to go for like something more close range or brawly, as I said. But it's like, it's really good. I really like it. Bright Marsh is the second map, like also S tier. Bright Marsh is probably my second favorite map. It's a little bit similar, but also different in how you play it. It's definitely a map enabling other champions like Ruckus, as I said. You can play on the high ground. You can also learn like the mount jump where you get on high ground on the point fight, like the building where the point is in, so to say. And like actually like get on high ground and pressure the enemy backline, because like you always want like play on high ground, or like you're more favored to win fights when you're on high ground and the enemy team is not. The point fight like offers a little bit of cover, but it's not impossible for point tanks to actually leave the point area to get healed, because Barrick with his rocket boots, he like can just get out. Nara, for example, she can wall the doorways, which is kind of great, denying the enemy team the touch, so you can really force point. But you can also like just block the damage and walk behind cover to like behind your wall, for example, to just get healed by your support. You can flank on this map, but like your support like are able to actually live a little bit through that, because like it's somewhat obvious when you're getting flanked, but it's not as obvious, or it's not obvious enough to just deny flanks completely. So I think that's like really important. I like the push part of the map too, because you have high grounds where you can get onto pressing the enemy team. You have a lot of cover playing in. You have like the rooms. I like having a little bit a mixture of rooms and like open space, so it's not like one like sort of champion is super oppressive, because usually some champions are good in like open areas, other champions are better in like closed areas. So like you have a little bit of mix and you can adjust to the enemy team comp, like deciding which side you want to play on the map. I really like that. The only part I have to say I don't really like about this map is the spawn area, because it's impossible to get on high ground for certain champions once you like dropped. If you're not playing a champion having like vertical mobility, and usually you just want to back up, like when the enemy team pushes you further back, but like you kind of are like with your back at the wall, because you cannot get on high ground on some champions, so you're just stuck there waiting to get killed. That's like the only part I have to say I don't really like. I think that's why I prefer Jag over Bright. But like overall, like really good map. I'm a big fan of it. Ice Mines. Bro, Ice Mines has grown on me so much. When I started playing this game, I felt like, bro, I don't know, I don't like this map. But the more I played and the better I got, the more I like this map. Because I think it's fun if you have like a good idea what you want to do on certain maps, and like if you have an idea how to play the game, like gameplay wise and game understanding or game knowledge. And I like clearly was lacking that when I started the game. But now that just, I don't know, I think it's a pretty good map. I like the map also opening up the opportunity for two different comps. Like you can one say we want to prioritize a comp like being built around the point fight, because the bro, I can't talk, I'm sorry. The point fight plays so differently from like the rest of the map. The point fight is more brawly, spammy, and you're just trying to either be like close as a team to sustain that, or like you just want to spam out the enemy team. That's why like picks like Dredge, Drogue, Betty are so good for the point fight here. But you also have like the opportunity to pick a comp favoring the defense or the attack, which is kind of interesting because this is like such a long map having so many long sidelines that like you can say, well, I want to like I don't really care about the point fight and I just try to push it in or like always defend or whatever, right? So you can also choose a heavy backline DPS. And the heavy backline DPS still can work on point fights. I think that's why Grover is so interesting on this map because Grover just combines both comms. Grover has the opportunity to stay very close to keep like his whole team healed. On the other side, Grover is definitely able to just be a threat over range for the rest of the map. So like he can adjust to both comms in some way or to both situations, which is like so fun for me. Like, I don't know, this is just one example. Grove being good or why he's being good, but like I really like those two different styles of comms. You have cover around the point where the tank can hide. You also have like little rooms where it's just yeah, where you just play differently to the rest of the map. As I said, that's just a part of like having two different yeah, just opportunities to how to like want to start the map or pick your comp. The zoning potential is also kind of insane on this map. You can deny a touch completely once you won like one fight if you play it out correctly. I also like this map kind of forcing a different item choice because on Ice Mines you really want to get master riding. So that means you don't get the same items you would get on other maps just because you spend credits on master riding and like not waste, but use one spot of your items. So that means you definitely don't get the same item choice you'd get on another map. Because on another map you could say, or like on other maps you could say, I always force Haven, Veteran, Rejuvenate is a support, Cronus is a support, I don't know, like you name it. But on this map, this all gets shaken up because you want to get master riding. So it makes the game like a little bit more refreshing because you also have different items, which I think is super interesting. But also meaning you could get like different champions for that. Like let's say I don't know. You usually have champions. You really need this item and this item and this item to make them work. So you definitely wouldn't want to pick them here because you have so many items you want to or you need to make them work. But you also want master riding, right? So you probably want a champion where you're not forced to play X, Y, and Z item, and instead can like get master riding and you're good, and like then something else. That's what or why I really like Ice Mines. And the end of the area is also great. Like you have high grounds, you have different routes where you can go and try to push the enemy team from. The defense is definitely favored for the defending team, which makes sense. And like I don't mind at all. I think that's kind of good, making it easier for you to defend than it is for the attackers to like actually push it in. And I mean, is there anything more I can say to Ice Mines? I don't really think there is. Ascension Peak, bro. Yeah, maybe it's a decent B. Maybe Ascension Peak is a decent B. I think the point fight is interesting because the point fight is so big. It's probably the biggest contest area we have in the game. I'm not too sure on this one, but it's definitely very big. And you have the statues on point, like the rabbit or the scorpion or whatever it is on the other side, where you can hide behind as a tank and still contest point. I think this is so rare that you have a map where you like have cover on the point, but it makes the point fight so much more interesting and long lasting. So it allows for like longer maps or like longer games, I should say. And on the other side, I think having a bigger point is somewhat or can be somewhat boring because like you're not as much in the enemy team's face. So if you really like to fight like up close, you're kind of missing that. And I think smaller point fights or point areas sometimes make it more interesting because like you're forced to really fight the enemy team and like both teams kind of fight on the objectives or over the objective, and here you can just have your fights and both teams just defending casually, if that makes sense. This map allows for like flanks, but you need so long to actually start the flank, which is interesting because like it's definitely easy to flank, but you just need a lot of time to get to your flank target, if you know what I mean. And overall, I like the different parts of the area. You have high grounds on the push. You also have a high ground on the defending team, and this high ground is definitely better than the one on Bright Marsh because you can like actually get back into spawn and then get on high ground. So you have the advantage of being on high ground on defense. The push itself allows for cover. You have like walls, you have like little areas where you can fall back to. You have the high ground you want to contest or can contest, helping you to actually push because it's like somewhat easy for the attacking team to get that high ground, right? So that definitely helps. And you have like different parts of the map where you play differently again because you have closed up areas like little rooms, but you also have the open one, and you can play so many different comps. Again, you can say I just want a comp being more focused around the point fight, but you can also say I want a heavy backline comp, right? So I just out poke the enemy team on pushes or like on the point fight as well. But then you're probably also more vulnerable to die. So I really like how different this map plays to the other maps. Serpent Beach, probably. Bro, I'm really thinking if I like. Maybe I want to put it in S2, but I really like Serpent Beach because it's like Serpent Beach does have the high ground around the point, and as I said earlier, this can be annoying for tanks just sitting in the open, but here it's different because both teams kind of fight over the high ground. And once you've won the fight, you control the high ground and you can make sure your support can get on point and like actually cap, right? So you can set up on the enemy high ground to like prevent them from pushing in again. And I really like this fight over the high ground instead of the fight over the point, if you know what I mean. And I also think this map opens up for like different comps in terms of like vertical mobility, because some champions are like very good on more flat maps, right? But here you have a huge part of the map is like centered around the high grounds. So it allows champions like Ruckus to get a lot of value here, being able, or Azan, for example, getting a lot of value getting on high ground. Also kind of interesting, somewhat enabling Inara with like the summit card. You usually wouldn't use it as much on other maps, but here you can get so much value because like how did my Inara just get on high ground? Well, she used summit, so that's definitely great. I really like that. And I think the fights are actually pretty interesting while pushing or defending because you can also contest the card from high ground, which is interesting and an interesting mechanic. I don't really know if it's intended to work like that, but you can definitely contest the card from high ground, and I think that's a pretty cool mechanic. You have multiple fights over the point. I also like having multiple fights over a point because you do have zoning potential, but it just doesn't like deny all chances to touch the point. So usually you have like 2 to 3 fights over the point till like one team caps. I really like that. It's possible to flank, and this map is like very good for flank champions. I think it's also fun like having a map where like flank champions are super favored because they have so much mobility, and it helps them a lot on this map, or that's why they are so favored on this map. I really like, as I said, having different maps like favoring certain roles also, and this is just heavily favored for flanks. And I think overall it's just a pretty good map. I like, maybe I actually put it in S2 because I just like it so much. Like, it's pretty good. Frozen Guard, bro. I hate to break it to you, but I'm not a big fan of Frozen Guard. I like the point fight area. You can get behind cover. You have like the one side where like the cliff is, which is interesting to fight because you have cover there to fight, but the other side, like not where the cliff is, it's somewhat hard to flank against the backline DPS because they just outpoke you on your way to get to them. So it kind of depends what your team comp is and what the enemy team comp is on where you wanna start this map or where you wanna play. So I think that's really interesting, and both teams can play to their strength, which makes it really interesting for me because like each side plays a little bit different, and like the one side is definitely more favored with like having cover, and the other one more with like being more open or whatever. The point fight is interesting, having different like ways to fall back to cover. You can jump over the boxes, you can just get back to your doorway, if you know what I mean, and just get there. You have cover for supports playing behind the point, not being as much, or like as easy of a target, I want to say, because you have like bushes or whatever, those ice bushes where you can hide behind, or where you can actually avoid getting like poked out from like the one side or the other, which is good. As I said, like also playing support, so having some cover for support to like being able to just heal your team without like worrying too much to not die is also good, I want to say. But that's the only part I like about this map. The point fight, or some parts of the point fight, is the only part I like about this map, because the rest of the map is kind of shit, I'm gonna be honest. Zoning potential insane, but as I said, I like multiple fights over the objective. So one team wins, one team goes zone, one team like captures. It's kind of boring to me. It's such a long map on the pushes. So backline and poke heavy comms are just so much more favored. I really hate playing against that, but that's just me. Like other people definitely like that, so that's completely fine. The high ground is so favored for the defending team, but a little bit too much in my opinion. Like it's so hard to actually push the high ground because the flank routes end in front of the high ground, and you actually need vertical mobility to get on that high ground, like the little bridge at the end I'm talking about. I really hate that part. And I kind of feel like, or think they missed out on reworking this part, making it more accessible for the enemy team, like the attacking team, to push that high ground. So that's what I really hate. And I don't know, man. There's like not much to say. It plays super weird sometimes. It's just hard for the tank, like the attacking tank, to play behind cover. There is some cover, but you're still somewhat stuck in the open. Same for the support. So that's why I don't really like it. Like, I don't know, as I said, point fight only, like some parts of the point fight, only part I like about this map. Bazaar on the other side is probably a better map for me. Again, we have a bigger point fight area, so it means like it's not that much about the tanks or the enemy team, like both teams fighting over the objective, because you can just put one player on contesting and like the other player in the other corner, like the enemy team, and you just never look at each other, but you still contest a point. So it's more about the fights going around. It's easy to flank here. You have some cover, but like it's still like a tunnel, so the enemy team can like just wait for you and poke you out while you're in the tunnel, if that makes sense. Because it's not really a closed up area, but you like need to jump over ledges to escape the tunnel or whatever. I can't really explain what I mean. You have some, I don't want to say you have some cover as a support, but like you definitely have the walls around the point fight, so you're not like super in the open, but it's definitely super easy to like get to you. Because to get to you, there's also a little bit of cover and whatnot, but like I don't know. I like the push part is like, I like it, I think, because you have the rooms and it's not as much. I mean, they're definitely long sidelines, but you still can play around them a little bit because they added some cover, and you can just try to flank through those covers and the rooms they add, like they have on this map. I think the mechanic with the opening doors only for the defending team is definitely interesting. So you can push if you want, but you might be stuck there and die because of that. And making it, I think that's why it's so hard to actually pushing it in on the map, because there's like only one way where you can like actually try to attack the card again from, right? Because if you don't have vertical mobility, you cannot take any other way but just the like destined way, or like the, I don't know. I think you know what I mean. Like the way where the card goes is basically the only way where you can attack the last part from. So it's so heavily favored for the defending team, which is like, I don't know. I get why you can like get through the doors, and they wanted to introduce that mechanic, but it just makes it so much harder to actually push it in. And like even when you're fighting the objective there, it's still so much favored for the defending team because of the long sidelines added, and they have a lot of cover on their side, but you're kind of lacking cover on your side when you're trying to attack. So I don't know, like overall a good map. I like playing Ray, and this is definitely her best map, so I always like, I'm happy seeing this map because that means I can play Ray. So yeah, I think like also opening up, as I said, different comps, Ray, different comp. You don't want to play Ray on every map, so having a map enabling Ray I like, so that's why Bazaar B. Splitstone probably also be has high ground around the point, can be annoying for the tank. Sometimes it can be annoying for the support to keep everybody healed because there are like so many, like you have the one side with a room next to the point, but like it's so hard for the support to get there and reach them if you want to stay on high ground. What you usually want to do as a support, you want to stay on high ground, so it's kind of hard to reach that. The tank on the other side like probably likes to fall back to there because there's a lot of cover and it's harder for the enemy backline sitting on their high ground shooting you down when you're in the room. And that's just, I don't know, like I don't hate this map as I said, but like this is sometimes kind of annoying for the support to make it work and keep everybody healed. Having a lot of high grounds also usually means it's harder for the support to heal freely. What the fuck? Heal freely. Because it's just you're so easy of a target, right? You're sitting on the high ground right in the open. There's not a lot of cover you can hide behind. So that's why it's so hard for the support to make work sometimes. And it just kind of contradicts the idea of playing on a high ground as a support. Then it's like you can get flanked, but it's not super easy and kind of hard to flank because if the enemy team tries to flank, your DPS sitting on high ground can poke them out early, which is good. They can like help you. But once they reached your high ground, you're basically fucked because you have nowhere to go but to drop. And once you drop, you're an even easier target for the enemy team to just shoot you down, if you know what I mean. I do like the push area. There are different ways how to play it. You can flank, you have the different rooms, you can reach the enemy backline. There's a little bit of cover. You can always go from one room to the other and still contest card, if you know what I mean. It can be annoying to start the initial push because of the high ground. The high ground is so oppressive on the initial push. So I get why people hate this. And I also think this is like super annoying sometimes because the enemy team can basically just set up on high ground and like deny all your value by just shooting you down and denying all opportunity to just push the card. And you actually, I mean, this is not bad, but you're forced to go around, go underneath and push like from behind. But this is so hard to actually make like or like do as a team because some people just want to stay back and like not the whole team is flanking at once, if you know what I mean, right? So that's why it can be super hard to break through that choke or like that part of the map. Same thing for the last part of the map, right? Where you have the other bridge. It can be super annoying to break through that, but it's definitely a little bit easier because the high ground is more accessible. You can go up the ramp and then reach their high ground, but then you leave the line of sight of your support. So it's like always a little bit thinking or trying to balance it out. If like, do I really want to go here because my support can't heal me anymore? But like if I don't, we probably might not be able to push. So this just allows for like so many different approaches to this map, and that's what I like. And the last part, as I said, heavily favored for the defending team. But overall, I don't hate this map. I'm like, I do want to play it from time to time. That's why I probably I put it at B. Frog Isle. Bro, this is definitely more annoying to play than Splits on Curry. It's so annoying as a tank sometimes to play this map. You do have cover around point where you can somewhat fall back to, but it's still easy to get hit if the enemy team just changes the angle. Because the cover is so small, right? You can just block the shots from one side, but once they rotate, they still hit you. And the, like, I don't know, it's not really cover. It can be super annoying for the support to heal because you just can't sit in the open like that. You just get outpoked by the enemy backline super easily. If you play more around point, like right behind point, it's still easy target, and it's so easy for the enemy team, enemy tank also to just push you and kill you. If you sit behind the walls, it can be kind of hard to like actually heal your team, and you're just waiting to get flanked because like if, I don't know, on this map, sometimes it's easy to go up the ramp if you don't have a good backline or like if you don't have a heavy backline comp, right? But it also makes it somewhat hard sometimes to actually push or like flank through that that ramp side, because the enemy backline can just focus all damage on you once you're like walking up the ramp. So that's why it's so sniper heavy, and I really, as I said, don't like the poke maps on the point, not on the point fight, after the point fight. Once you push the card, it's getting a little bit better on some parts because there's more cover you can play as a tank and still contest the card from, and also for the support it's easier. It's not as annoying or not as hard to actually flank, but like it definitely can be in the last part of the map. But like therefore you have the flank. I don't really know how to explain it. The flank on the side next to the water, like this side, makes it a little bit easier to like reach the enemy backline, and you still have some cover there, right? You can like zone on this map, and like there are definitely only 1 or 2 point fights. This is not as much as on smaller maps, I want to say. So it's not terrible, but sometimes you can just feel like you're getting spawn camped, and like this is definitely super frustrating if the enemy team has like a good backline and you're just sitting there and getting outpoked while trying to get out of spawn. But like yeah, overall it's not like, I don't know, it's not a map I want to remove. It's not like I hate this map, but I'm definitely not super happy when playing this. That's why it's in C. Like C is still like not a fan of this map. I think that's just all I can say. Fish market is basically the same. You have the high on, like it's a little bit different, but like I don't like it. You have the high ground around the point. The pointing is just sitting there. There's not a whole lot of cover you can hide behind. You're just waiting for the enemy team to just pressure you out or like kill you. Supports cannot really position super easy here because you do have the boxes, but you can still get hit behind it because it's just Paladins hitboxes. That's just not like, you can't blame the map for that. It's just Paladins overall, but it's definitely annoying. Again, it's super poke heavy. I really don't like that. It's, I don't know. There are different parts. Like one part is more open, so there's definitely harder to just push in. The other side is more close up, but like initially both sides have a long sidelines, right? So this can be super annoying. Um, that's, I think, the only map where I would say it's not that the defending team is super heavily favored, because you do have the high ground as the attacking team, right? Once the card goes down the last part of the area, the attacking team actually has the high ground, if that makes sense, because you go down the hill, and the enemy team, the defending team, does have a little bit of high ground with like the platform added there, but I don't know, it still can be a little bit annoying to play, and overall you're just super, it's somewhat easy to flank you, I want to say, like once they go the one uncontested side, like because you usually can recontest both sides because the map is so wide that it's so hard for the enemy or for your support to actually keep both sides healed at the same time, and the point side also, like the point fight area, also healed. That's why you usually like focus on one side and the point. And bro, that's why it's so easy to actually flank you, and you can't really prevent the enemy team from doing that. You just have to do the same to them, and it's just, I don't really like how this map is played. Again, zoning potential and making it just less point fights. Yeah. Shattered. Is it C for me? It might be C also. It's just a weird map overall. It plays so weird. You can flank, but you need so much long to actually flank, and it feels like all lanes are just super separated from each other, which I don't really like because the walls are so long, right? Once you decided you go on one lane, you're just stuck there somewhat, and your support needs to rotate so much to actually heal you. Also, the support, it's somewhat annoying sometimes to heal behind cover, or like, right, hide behind cover and then just peek to heal. The point area does have the statues next to the point but not on the point, so you like can definitely get off point to get behind, somewhat behind cover. It's like not great cover, but it's a little bit of cover to get healed. So it's different from Bazaar, or like Bazaar and Essential Peak, where you do have cover on point. But like overall, again, poke heavy. It's getting flanked here. It's just so easy. I really hate it. The long sidelines are annoying. I don't like how the map is played out. The push can be somewhat annoying. Like the first part is okay, but like the last part is like somewhat because you also have like those different lanes, as I said, and it's so hard for the support to reach the right lane. For example, if you're playing the left lane or even on pushing like the last part, defending is like, I don't know. Defending also feels kind of weird on this map, but like, ah man, this is not a good map in my opinion. Like, what can I say? What can I say? And lastly, Dawnforge, remove this fucking map, bro. I hate it. It's just not a good map. I don't. What the fuck is the sun mechanic? Like, the sun mechanic is so stupid. I really don't like my team activating the sun and I still get damage from it. Why is that a thing? Because sometimes you might like start a fight, activate the sun, then you suddenly win the fight, you want to contest point, and then the sun is just stuck there damaging your own team, and you're like, what the fuck is going on, bro? So I don't really like the sun part. Like, that's definitely one part I hate a lot about this map. I think the point fight is super annoying for tanks. You're just sitting in the open. It's such a small closed area where like so many high grounds so close to you around the point just spamming down on you. That's why like the blasters are so good, like Willow, Betty, Dredge, stuff like that are so good, just spamming you out, bro. It's like you don't have a lot of cover there, and so many small little rooms making it so hard for some supports to like heal. But that means like other supports are better, like Genos being able to heal through walls, right? But like, it's so, bro, no, I hate it. I hate it so much. Then like the defending team and the defending part of the map, like the last part, it's so favored for the defending team, bro. The high ground is so oppressive, and they can just sit there and like, I do think it's interesting they try to add like a lot of stuff with like the TPs, the jump pads, but sometimes I'm just questioning like, bro, why do I have the jump pad and the TP here? And like, it's so weird to use because sometimes you use the jump pad and you hit your head, and I'm like, bro, what the fuck is this? Like, that you get stuck on walls so easily because it's not a clean wall. It just has all the extra on it, and it just, bro, again, you have so many different lanes being so split from each other that you can only really heal one lane. And then you also have 4 different lanes, which is like super weird. You have the outer area, then you have like the middle area where you push, then you have the area with the jump pad, and then you have like the other outer area. And it's just, bro, no, it's just too much. The map is too big, too long, in my opinion. Like, especially like having 4 lanes in some parts of the map. Like, why do we have 4 lanes instead of 3 now? I really don't like. No, it's just no, bro. I don't think I have anything positive to say about this map. So like, I'm really sorry for anybody like liking this map, but I really think it should get removed. That's all the maps. I think I kind of want the rank like within it here because it's not so many maps. I want to do this like Jack, Bride, Serpent, Order for S, Iceman, Stone, Keep Waters, Order for A. I want to say. Maybe just because I like Ray so much. Bazaar, Ascension, Splitstone on B. C, it just, bro, on C it doesn't really matter. I don't like prefer any map over the other, I think. I hate them all equally on C, or like I dislike them all equally on C. And I'm sorry, but like I think actually I think I'd rather play Timamo Dawnforge over Timamo. But again, it doesn't matter. Both maps should get removed in my opinion. Anyway, bro, I didn't want this video to get so long, but it kind of is. I'm really sorry about this. Well, like, let me know what maps you like and how you would rank them. As I said, it's like more personal thing, I think, because like you have your different reasons why you like a certain map and why you dislike it. And just thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And always remember, don't forget, you guys are awesome. Bye bye.